It's the Great British Model Railway Show 2025. Plenty of layouts to see, so let's not hang around and go have a look. We start off with A Bygones Weekend at Tan-Y-Bwich. This is by Richard Holder, and it's 4mm scale in 009 narrow gauge. Tan-Y-Bwich Station is the halfway point on the Festiniog Railway's route between Portmadog and Blaine Festiniog. During the year, the railway organises a number of special events, and in early October there is the Bygones Weekend, featuring many special trains, including the Gravity Works Slate train, demonstration goods trains and passenger trains, using the railway's heritage stock. The layout presents such a weekend. Some of the locos and rolling stock are ready to run from Bachmann, Carto, Pico and Hellion, while others, coaches and wagons, are kit-built, using brass, plastic or 3D printed parts. The diesel loco, Halleck Castle, was built from a kit from a 4Ds and runs on a Graham Farish 08 diesel chassis. All locos are sound-fitted and are operated using DCC. While the model is not accurate in every detail, it is hoped that those who are familiar with the station will immediately recognise some of the key features and surrounding scenery. The familiar S shape of the station has been flattened out somewhat to fit the track plan into the space available. Some of the buildings have been scratch-built using plastic sheet and ditting parts, while others use 3D prints from MS models. Most of the trees have been constructed from wood and cedar materials, and others have been purchased online from the 4D Model Shop, the Model Tree Shop, K&M Trees, and from Primo Trees.
I'm doing the whole straight through that red signal on You've got control of that now? I have to just hit the balance back and see. Yeah, now I don't know, have you turned it on? So you have, right? I get the mirror start up, but hopefully it should be alright. Try going backwards with it. I'm sure we'll end up taking photos. No? Okay. No, nothing? No? Oh, it is. Yeah, whack it up then. And I'll turn that point so...
Now we come to Ryders Green Wharf by Peter Cullen. It's a 4mm scale 009 gauge layout. Ryders Green Wharf is a representation of a typical rail, canal and road interchange on the Birmingham Canal navigations at the heart of the industrial West Midlands. The canal wharf is now disused and road transport is becoming ever more popular as the flexibility of the lorry signals the end of the internal narrow gauge railway. The Tallaglyn Railway was also at the show to promote the wonderful railway that it is, and they brought along Corrish, which was built by George Williamson, but it has been now sold on to a new and very grateful owner. I didn't catch the name, sorry. Now we're at Black Hawk House by Ian Drummond in 7mm scale ON30. Black Hawk House was the engine house of the Glipping Gold Tram, which served many of the mines in Glipping County in Colorado, USA. This 2-foot gauge line was constructed in several phases starting in 1887, and eventually the line was 26 miles long. It climbed in places gradients as steep as 1 in 20 and negotiated sharp curves, the tightest of which was reputed to be just 50-foot radius. The lines were short-lived, closing in 1917. The model supposes that the line survived into the 1930s, having been purchased by a large mining company which brought in some additional motive power to supplement the line's original shade-geared locomotives. The main line climbs and curves round the engine house on a series of wooden trestles. To the front of the layout, there is a line which used to lead away to the warming house. In winter, trains of gold ore are placed in the warming house overnight to thaw out. Operational of the layout is DCC, which allows for individual sound for each locomotive. And now we go to Hergest, also by Peter Cullen, a 4mm scale 009 narrow gauge layout. This layout assumes that the old horse-drawn tramway which ran from Kington up onto Hergest Ridge was upgraded to a steam-hauled railway to provide a goods and passenger service for the local rural population. An interchange was constructed with the Great Western Railway at the small village of Hergest, situated on the new Radnor extension of the Leominster to Kington branch between Kington and Stanner. A full history of the line is displayed on the layout, which I didn't get, so you'll have to find it some other way. Now we're off to South Africa with Fort Whiting by Charles Inslee, a 4mm scale 009 narrow gauge layout. Fort Whiting is a station on the fictional island of New Guinea, 120 miles to the east of South Africa in the Indian Ocean. In the early 20th century, a 2'6" gauge railway was built to connect the main port and town on the island, Port Canning, to the other small towns on the island, including the small fort originally built by the Dutch and renamed after one of the early governors of the island, Sir George Whiting. The railways on the island were built and initially operated on behalf of the Foreign and Colonial Office by a Crown agent company called Colonial Government Railways. Locomotives were provided by a number of British builders, including Hunslet, Kitson, Nesman Wilson, as well as American builders such as
But the ones where it's a window build that haven't actually got markings on, it's like...
Yeah, I think it's legit to do stuff to that.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. Now I do apologise for interrupting the layout video, but I felt this was quite important and the best way to really get it known and out there. So, as you may or may not know, I co-host the Model Rail Replacement podcast, and what we are trying to do as an annual tradition is raise some money for charity. And this year, our chosen charity is Cash for Kids, which is a wonderful charity which helps disadvantaged children in need and in poverty improve their lives in many different ways. And at Christmas, they provide these children with presents. So we are trying to raise some money for Cash for Kids. And you can do this by going to Just Giving. The link will be down below and searching for the Model Rail Replacement podcast, or if you search Sam Beecher Jones, that's not my name, that's my co-host's name. If you search that in Google, it will come up. And what you can do is, if you donate £5, we will give you a raffle ticket to win some wonderful prizes. And we do have some really excellent prizes that have been donated by the likes of Hornby, Cavalex. We also have Gaugemaster have donated, Reveloution Trains, Ronlines, and a few other friends of the podcast, such as Tom at Buggelskelly Station, Modelu are giving us a voucher. So there are all sorts to win. We've got train sets, we've got locos. I've already receive some of the prizes that are ready to give out, and there's some great stuff there. So if you'd like to win some of these prizes and help a wonderful charity, then you can by just following the link, buying a raffle ticket, which will cost you a £5 donation. For every £5 you will get an entry into the raffle. We've decided there will be a 4th, 3rd, 2nd and 1st prize category due to the sheer generosity of all those that have helped us with this raffle. And you can buy these tickets up to the 14th of December. We'll be announcing the winners on our Christmas special podcast on the 22nd of December, and you can find that on Spotify or anywhere else you get podcasts. You can even find it on YouTube if you look for the Model Rail Replacement Podcast channel. And just to let you know that unfortunately, due to the size of some of the prizes, because there are train sets in there, this will be to UK residents only. I do apologise. However, if you are outside the UK and still would like to donate to this charity, then please do. Thanks for your time. We'll get back to the video of the show.
Yeah.
There was no less than 3 TT120 layouts at this show, and this one is Church Hill, which is presented by Stephen Burrows. The layout was inspired by the launch of Hornby TT120 at this very show in October 2022. It's been built to a modular design and can be hooked up to other layouts built to the same connection template. Now it's O-gauge time with Kimble, Leamington and Warwick Model Railway Society's 7mm scale O-gauge layout. The period represented by Kimble extends from early BR to steam diesel transition, demonstrating a wide variety of stock. The town of Kimble is set on a hill, dominated by Knight's Brewery with its array of industrial buildings, workers' housing and a private railway with a wagon turntable. Below the town there is a through station, setback siding and comprehensive motive power depot with roads leading to the loco shed, coaling, sand, water renewal, storage and the turntable. The line runs out of the station to cross an impressive viaduct with hills, rocky outcrops, pine trees and a tunnel. Now we come to Market Bosworth by Dave Hewitt and Pete Bettany in 4mm scale in 18.83mm gauge. Market Bosworth railway station was a former stop on the London and North Western Railway and the Midland Railway, who jointly owned and operated the line between Royal West Junction and Nuneaton as the Ashby and Nuneaton Joint Railway. The model is representation of the station and goods yard in the period of 1907 to 1909.
Yes. Yeah.
We believe on the plan it shows the coal line. Yeah, but the to be careful. Way too much chocolate, it's the same.
Yes, I'm lucky. I've got that's one of the few pills I'm still taking. Stop it. It's called now.
Now we're going Engage with a punny title of 9 Mills 1990 by Dave Forshaw in 2mm scale Engage. 9 Mills was designed and built as an early 1960s steam to diesel transition layout and has been widely exhibited and featured in all the major modelling magazines. A few years ago, the owner acquired a good selection of 1980s freight stock and decided to adapt 9 Mills to run the later BR sectorisation period as an alternative to its usual guise, in a reversible way so the layout can be exhibited in either period. 9 Mills 1990 is set between 1990 to 1992, with services operated by Intercity, regional railways and rail freight. The layout is located on the West Coast Main Line with overhead electrification. The former steam depot represents Steamtown Railway Museum, which is now the base of West Coast Railways. The coal and ash plant are accurate replicas of the Camford facilities, which are now the only ones still standing in the UK. The newer 1960s diesel depot remains in use, now with regional railways and rail freight distribution. A 50-plus train feeder yard capable of holding over 1,500 wagons or 600 coaches provides a steady flow of trains for the main line. Track work on the scenic sections uses Pico fine scale Code 55 track work. Scenic structures are a mixture of modified kits, scratch built and SD mouldings. Selected Hornby Little End will also be seen. The two new portals are from N-Brass kits. Motive power is mainly Graham Farish, mainly the new Backman, and Daypole, making up 100 plus loco fleet. There's a variety of class of diesel on there, in fact most are covered. Class 20, 31, 37, 47, 50, 56, 58, 59, 60, and electric units 81, 85, 86, 87, 89, 90, 92 are all in regular use, plus charters and specials using preserved steam and diesel haulage. A number of first and second generation diesel and electrical multiple units, including newly built ones on test, will also be seen. Electrographic vinyl slides, scratch-built and kits units increase the variety. Farish, Daypole and kits provide most coaching stock. Wagons are a variety mix of ready-to-run and kits, including many from the Engage Society and now Reveloution trains. We're off at the seaside now, it's Arrowmouth, Rowing Club, with the scale, again, sitting on the beach, are those always sunny summer days, suddenly the sun is shattered as a former enemy Pacific speeds past on a Sandwich bound train. These are the images that form the West Coast Main Line at the end of the steam barrier before the overhead station of Northwest to stop. Arrowmouth is a seaside town on the northwest coast and is close to Edrom, which is between Lancaster and the era was somewhere between 1963 and 1968. Steam was in its Indian summer in this part of Trawsfyndd.
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
And now we're at Daisy Lane TMD by Simon Lemon in 4mm scale OO gauge. Daisy Lane is a diesel depot set in East Anglia in the late 1980s to early 1990s. The facility provides a local refuelling and crew signing on point as well as maintenance and stabling of locomotives. A wide variety of classes and liveries visit the TMD, including 08s, 20s, 31s, 37s, 45s, 47s, 50s, 56s and 60s, all of which are in a variety of liveries, including Network South East, British Rail Blue, Rail Freight and one-off special liveries. The locos are mainly ready to run for the major manufacturers such as Bachmann, Hornby and Hellion, with the occasional visit from an older modified Lima model. The majority of the models have been weathered using various methods to give the feeling of grimy rundown locals, which was typical of the era. The layout is DCC controlled, with several of the locos fitted with sound. Now we're at Burlish Road by Tom Clark, Harry Bradley and the Bewdley MPD modelers in 7mm scale O-gauge. Burlish Road is a what-if layout and adaptation of the station Burlish Holt on the Bewdley to Stourport line. The original Burlish Holt was a small two-coach halt situated around 1.5 miles from Bewdley Station. It was a simple halt on a single-track line with some sidings for a ceramics factory just to the Stourport side. Burlish Road recreates the through line between Bewdley and Stourport, with the addition of sidings, goods shed and engine shed. The tunnel end of the layout is Bewdley end of the line, and the goods shed end of the layout is the Stourport end. The sidings down the front of the layout represent the ceramics factory, all being at the opposite end of the station to what they actually were. You can see a variety selection of rolling stock running on the layout. Most of the locomotives are of GWR and Western Region origin, with several of them being examples of engines based at the local Kidderminster, Stourbridge and Worcester sheds. You will see a great number of locomotives preserved on the Severn Valley Railway, as the owners of the layout are both Severn Valley Railway footplate crew. The same story is applied to the carriages and wagons that you see, many either being Severn Valley Railway based or relevant to the local area. There is a story behind nearly every loco that they own, so if you're unsure, you can ask, except you can't because this is a video. And I didn't ask them. But all the same, wonderful to see.
Now the sheds full of engines, so can't 4596 on the sheds.
Unless you move that. Gotta go past the single. Have you swapped benches?
No, there's one box down here with left side.
How do you get to the telephone box?
Now we're going to Stodden Hundred Light Railway by Andy Jones and the Luton Model Railway Club, presented in 7mm scale O-gauge. This is a depiction of a rural railway on the borders of Bedfordshire and Cambridgeshire in the mid-1930s, just before everything changed with the Second World War. Serving the market town of Kimbolton and the villages of Pettenhall and Swineshead, this is a branch off the main line which runs from the iron ore pits around Kettering to Great Barford, near Sandy, where connections are made with the LNER and LMS. Being an economically stretched railway, the SHLR had to make do with cast-off locomotives and passenger coaches from the more major railways or industrial users, with the light traffic, 040 and 060 tank locomotives becoming the norm. Because it was always short of operating engines, deals were struck with engine manufacturers for them to come and trial their new locomotives out of the public gaze. This was a time when new technology, in the form of petrol and diesel locomotives, was gaining ground, so there were occasional appearances of modern traction on SHLR trains. The second TT layout of the show was Hornby's very own demonstration layout, showing off their brand new B4 and Class 37 that had due imminently. The other layout was this, Tolmanthrope, presented by Paul Appleton in TT 120 scale 12mm gauge. The layout is still a work in progress, as you can see. It is the Hornby TT Club magazine's project layout and has featured regularly in the pages of the magazine. It sets out to show just how much you can fit onto a 5-foot by 3-foot baseboard in the great scale. Track and drains are all Hornby, with card-built buildings, bridges and cutting retaining walls. There's still much work to do, including a new station, adding an oil storage depot, adding a low-level warehouse factory in the middle, plus, of course, the fences, signalling people, and other details. Now, the Great British Model Railway Show 2025 presented itself as a bit of an O-Gauge dominated exhibition. And it wasn't lying. This is Norman Colliery, another O-Gauge layout presented by Jeff Brain. Once the beating heart of many villages in Great Britain, coal mines have all but disappeared from the landscape. Norman represents an end-of-life colliery somewhere in the middle of the country using a mixture of old BR shunters to remove the last remnants from the coal face. The baseboards were originally made for an OO continuous run of 12 foot by 8, which never materialised. They were converted to a 16 foot by 2 scenic layout with a 7.5 foot exchange yard. The premise is that the colliery is at the end of life, with the lower screens closed down and only the top screen is in use. The only problem is that the feeder road to the upper screens has been closed by subsidence, so a link line has to be made to the lower line. This gave the owner the multi-level layout that you do not often see in O-Gauge. The engines are all kit-built from various manufacturers, except 103 from Brassworks. The wagons are all kits, mainly Parks O'Dundas, with a couple of Slaters and Pacey. This is Middleton Central, an O-Gauge layout presented by David Baylor. But no, don't look through those windows. No, not that one. And no, don't look through that one either. You. Disgraceful. The layout is a 1980s to 1990s BR with a wide variety of diesel locomotives and units from the period. And I'm afraid that's all the description we've got in that layout, which is a shame. And then some lovely details on the layout though, like this welder working in the workshop. Oi, where are you going? No, I told you not to look through that window. You're doing it again. Let's see if this Class 47 departing on a short parcels train might take your mind off things. Oh, for God's sake. Can't take you anywhere. Now we're heading to North Wales, so this could be trouble, mostly with pronunciations of places, but I will try my best. I do believe this is Trawsfyndd branch, presented by Stuart Bailey and Craig Holt in the Hindley Green Model Railway Group of 4mm scale O-Gauge. Trawsfyndd in North Wales used to be served by a section of the GWR route which ran from Barna to Festiniog. The line closed all traffic in 1961, the trackbed at Barna being severed by the Llyn Clyn Reservoir, but the section between Blaenau and Trawsfyndd power station opened again in 1964 for nuclear flask traffic. The Goliath gantry crane was installed over sidings about half a mile east of the power station. Beginning on the 20th of April 1964, nuclear flasks could be transported by rail to destinations such as Sellafield in Cumbria. On the 22nd of April 1997, the last train carrying nuclear waste material left Trawsfyndd, hauled by EWS loco number 37426. The line subsequently being mothballed. Mountainwell Road is approximately 1 mile up the line from Trawsfyndd and the siding used for explosive traffic. It was laid in 1986 using recycled track from the Crewe remodelling project. The siding was only in use for around 2 years as the explosive traffic ceased due to an explosion at Cook's Penrhyndarif factory in 1988, and that was my best attempt at that word. The line and goods shed still remain, a bit overgrown, but can be seen by this day by taking a turning off the A470. Now, it's winter time in Germany. This is Megsdorf by Norman Colliery, a 1/87 scale HO gauge layout. Megsdorf has been built and named in memory of the owner's wife, Margaret. She helped him greatly in exhibitions and with railway modelling in general, and she loves snow scenes. The layout is set in southern Germany, representing in HO scale a small station with a couple of sidings. Track is Pico and the back scene is hand-painted. For a bit of fun, the woodchopper and welder can be actuated by spectators. Locos are all sound-fitted and stock uses KD magnetic couplers. Control is DCC with an Echo 5 unit linked by an Edimax router to the Wi-Fi throttle app on iPhones and iPads. Now we move to the biggest layout of the show. I'm pretty sure it was bigger than Kimble. I mean, they were both very big O-gauge layouts. But this is Charnwood Forest by the Saw Valley Model Railway Club in 7mm scale O-gauge. Their O-gauge layout started with the original idea of showcasing the Charnwood Forest line and Loughborough Derby Road station, which led out to a viaduct in a straight up and down configuration. After a lot of thought and with the hope of doing something different, the club decided that although the LNWR line closed to passenger traffic in 1931, they envisaged what it would have been like in the late 1950s and early 1960s if the line had remained open. The layout includes a number of features from the line, including the stations of both Loughborough Derby Road and Whitwick, and the impressive viaduct at Greystone. The layout has an emphasis on buildings and the countryside around these areas at the time, rather than from an industrial viewpoint. All buildings have been hand-built in cardboard, while the Greystone viaduct has been constructed with individual bricks made of modern clay.
What's going on? 2 Megan.
not long for it to get to the next start. Now then. At least
The 16mm narrow gauge modeller's modular layout was also on the show to demonstrate these lovely steam locomotives. Just look at that Quay Hanton. Now, just to put those TT120 modelers in their place, Hanton Tarrant was on show, which is what some would consider a true TT gauge layout, and this one is 3mm scale, presented by Paul Hopkins. Every year Paul brings a TT layout to the show, and this year he's brought something with a distinct southern flavour. Here we can see a little 040 shunter and some electric multiple units all working on the layout. Although I don't think all four of those cars are going to fit in the bay there. Fortunately, after a bit of a shunt, it's 2 cars into the bay. That was lucky. Now, for those interested in the local news at Hanton Tarrant, well, the zoo reports that the 3-ton rhino that escaped the other day has been caught. However, the 5-ton rhino that escaped last week still remains at large.
Where the white line is.
So all you've got to do is just press target.
It's another O-gauge layout. They weren't lying when they said there would be plenty of O-gauge at this show. This is Andrew's Yard, presented by Stephen Reveloution. 7mm scale, O-gauge. Andrew's Yard is set in the 1930s and runs on GW stock, with the occasional BR logo making an appearance. There is lots of detail on the layout and plenty of things for the youngsters of all ages to look for and find. For us, we'll just watch this lovely prairie depart beyond. We make the briefest of stops at Edrom by Darren Goff in Engage. Unfortunately, this layout was having a few teething troubles, but if you do want to see it, it is in last year's exhibition video of the very same show. And our final layout is Brunel's Quay, Trawsfyndd, presented by the Stratford and District Model Railway Club in 2mm scale, Engage. The layout is a prototypical representation of the Plymouth to Penzance Cornish Main Line and Fowley Branch Line Station at Trawsfyndd, as operated by the GWR in the era pre-1937. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And don't forget to click the link down below for the charity fundraiser Cash for Kids and your chance to win some wonderful prizes courtesy of the Model Rail Replacement podcast. Well, that's all for now. Hopefully I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from.